So welcome to the second episode of Level Reviews. In this video, we're going to be reviewing Silent Circles. Although, unfortunately, there isn't a lot I have to say about the gameplay, and I'm not going to focus on the level too much, as my complaints throughout the level would mainly be the same. We're going to just give some general thoughts on the level, because I feel like that works for the format more. So, I am going to consider this episode 2 of Level Reviews, however, this is probably going to be the most scattered and drama-related episode of Level Reviews, because the entirety of why this level sucks pretty much comes down to drama. A lot of you probably know where this review is going, but just hear me out, as I feel like I do have some interesting things to throw out on top of the table. And I feel like not a lot of people have said the stuff I'm going to say in this review, so just hear me out as we talk about the level. So first and foremost, let's talk about some complaints that does not require talking about the elephant in the room. These are complaints that would fit whether or not the level was a top 1 or it was nerfed down to a top 50. Because we're going to get to that when we get to that. But for now, let's just break down why this level isn't good, just down to the level design. Alright, so I guess as a good starting point, we could talk about the new extension to the gameplay. Now, bear in mind, a lot of my complaints are going to come down to the fact that this isn't faithful to the original level, which, in my opinion, is kind of a big deal with a legacy demon like Silent Circles. But, as a first point in regards to that, is the new gameplay. So, in the original Silent Circles, there was, I want to say, 30 seconds of just solid, straight, impossible wave gameplay. It was literally just copy-paste spam for 30 seconds. So naturally, in a level that's trying to be a demon that gets rated, they're gonna change this to something that, you know, makes sense. My only issue is that the gameplay kind of sucks. So the biggest problem with it is that the majority of it is just generic wave gameplay. Like, this is interchangeable with any Circles level, even barely by that standard, because average, you know, everyday, no-nonsense Circles levels have more interesting gameplay than this. This is literally just generic wave gameplay. There's nothing special about it, and whenever it's not generic wave gameplay, straight fly. Why the fuck would you ever put ship gameplay in the middle of a Circles wave? I guess it could make sense if the gameplay was unique and they were trying something new, but they literally just threw, like, a second of straight fly in the middle of a wave section. Here's my issue with this. That wave section, the impossible version, where it was just straight wave, as much as it was copy-paste, and it was dumb, and it was random, by impossible level standards, at the time that level came out, that section was very unique and honestly very interesting at the time. A lot of people ended up mimicking that, and it kind of became a trope, much like the Circles effect in and of itself. So I feel like in a modern 2.1 top 1 possible remake of Silent Circles, maybe you should have tried to use some interesting gameplay rather than extremely generic wave gameplay and ship. Maybe try to do something new. Hell, I'm not even saying it has to be a wave. You could have done something very off the walls and random, like throw the player into a swing copter or something. Hell, you could have just made it a straight fly and had it be orb flying. Like, I don't know. Could have done anything other than this. I would have even taken something like spider gameplay. But for it to just be the most generic, boring gameplay, this feels like the most low-effort extension I've ever seen. Except it doesn't. Because this level actually does have an extension, like past where the actual Silent Circles would have ended, and it's even more generic. There isn't even much to comment on this ending. Like, look at it. It's insanely generic. I don't think I need to point out why. Like, there are so many levels in 2.1, especially extremes with gameplay like this. There is nothing new here, nothing original. This gameplay has been done 1,000 times. This is the most play-it-safe, boring level extension I've ever seen. Not to mention, the final wave spam at the end literally just looks like someone redecorated the ending to Crimson Clutter and then changed the player to a mini-wave. And then there's the small stuff. The stuff that really bugs me. Towards the end of the non-extension part of the level, there's a part where the wave jitters a little bit, and it's supposed to be reminiscent of this part of the original. My only issue is that the placement of it makes no sense. In the original Silent Circles, that jitter happens before the 30 seconds of wave span. In the remake, it happens at the part of the song that plays during the end of that wave span. Meaning, they put it in the wrong part of the fucking level. Now, this wouldn't bug me so much if it wasn't for the fact that the part where it was supposed to go looks like this. The fact that they put this effect in the wrong part of the level ironically brings the gameplay down even more, because the part where it should be is now just a generic, really slow-paced wave. And that's another thing about the gameplay. Why the fuck does the speed change so much? In the original Silent Circles, it was 3 times speed the entire way through, aside from, like, that jitter part. Why in the fuck are there so many slow wave sections? I don't understand that. There is not a single steady Circles effect in this level that lasts longer than a couple seconds. And the worst part, just whether your opinion on the level, it doesn't matter. Whether you hate the level or you love the level, you have to admit, Bausha Vortex, a level that came out in 2017, looks better than this. And that is sad. And don't even get me started on this fucking end screen. The fact that the end screen is a shitpost, and such a bad one at that, and that it looks this atrocious, and just everything about this fucking end screen is a disservice to the level. And not just a disservice to Silent Circles, but a disservice to the rest of the level. The disservice to the remake specifically. This is a legacy extreme. This is a remake of an impossible level. This is one of the most significant remakes the community has ever seen. And you make the end screen a shitpost that's really low effort and looks bad. What the fuck was the creator of this level thinking? This end screen should have had some effort put into it. I don't even care if it was a black background with just the white letters, Silent Circles. No effort. But making it a shitpost like this and making it look this bad intentionally, because it was obviously done on purpose. Just, why the fuck would why? Why would you do that? There are 2 reasons I know for a fact this level could have looked better. I mean, the first obvious reason is that Circles levels in general, as of late, have been looking a lot better. The only exception being Aerial Gleam, which doesn't even have a Circles effect. Seriously, why is this thing considered a Circles level? It's a good level, but it's not a Circles level. Mind you, you may not like these levels, but you have to admit they look good. You have levels like Sonic Wave Infinity, Cosmic Cyclone. Hell, even upcoming levels that haven't even been fully decorated already look better. Look at Down Bass Incarnate. Like, already way better than this. And honestly, let's just point this out. The fact that Sockopin Circles exists proves that this remake sucks. Because let's put it this way. Sockopin Circles is an old remake of an Impossible 9 Circles demon. The decoration was significantly improved and looks beautiful. Even the Circles parts, which have a consistent Circles effect all the way through, need I remind you, look great. The whole level looks good, and despite all of that, it's faithful to the original. Sockopin Circles, while it may have shit gameplay, it's a good remake. This level existing proves that Silent Circles could have been good. So going back to that level title, I think we can agree that the circles part of the Silent Circles title is a complete lie. This thing is barely a fucking circles level at all. So now let's go to the other half of the level title. Silent Circles. There has been a looming, ever-present elephant in the room. And anyone who's gone into this video with prior knowledge probably already knows what that is. This level has been nerfed from top 1 all the way down to top 50. Probably even lower because of the level's length. So here's the thing. I wouldn't mind the level being nerfed so much, right? Like, I'd rather a level's gameplay be fun than be top 1. The issue is this is an Impossible level remake, and this doesn't work here. Okay, so I'm gonna say something that people may not agree with, and if you don't agree with me, it's okay, because that only invalidates a small chunk of this video, and I know people aren't agreeing with me on this, but I just want to put my mentality out here on this, right? Because this is, in my opinion, a valid point. If you're taking an Impossible level, and you're trying to make it, you know, a verifiable top 1, or a verifiable demon in general, shouldn't the goal to be to only nerf the parts that are physically impossible? You know, like the straight spam at the end of Silent Circles Old? Because I feel like impossible levels are only popular because of their difficulty. Sometimes the decoration, don't get me wrong, but in a lot of cases, especially with old impossible levels from 1.9, they're only really popular because of how absurd the difficulty is. Here's the thing. In my eyes, the only thing impossible levels have going for them, aside from decoration, because don't get me wrong, a lot of these levels do look good, but the only thing these levels have going for them a lot of the time is the impossible difficulty. The fact that these levels are so difficult and so inhumanely, you know, impossible to beat. I feel like if you're gonna take a level like that and nerf it to, like, top 50 or top 100 difficulty, you're essentially taking the level and stripping it of the one thing that makes it popular. You're not beating Silent Circles. You're beating nerfed Silent Circles. However, if you take Silent Circles and only nerf the parts that physically could not be completed, you're still beating Silent Circles. It's not nerfed Silent Circles, it's Silent Circles possible. You know what I mean? It's more like akin to a bug fix than anything. And I think when you look at it that way, you really start to understand where this remake fails. Silent Circles, because of all the nerfs, is one of the most generic extremes I've seen in the longest time. If this level was still top 1, there would at least be that to appreciate about it. And you know what I really don't understand? They took Silent Circles away from Dolphy because he wasn't making progress fast enough. Okay, sure, that makes sense. But then they give it to Zanny and just end up nerfing it anyway. Why didn't you just let Dolphy nerf it? Also, on that note, is it just me, or is Zanny an extremely unlucky verifier? First, they verify Sonic Wave Infinity and put a crash trigger in the level, causing it to get unrated and need to get re-verified. And then this? Honestly, if I were the host of a big project like this, I would not let Zanny verify my fucking level. So here's the thing, and this is the hot take I want to throw out in this video, right? Like, this is the controversial take I want to put in this video. Even if the level was never nerfed and if it was left in its top 1 state, the level still would suck and still would be a disservice to Silent Circles. Because the decoration sucks, it's not really a Circles level, aside from, like, very brief glimpses of the effect. Most of it just looks like a generic extreme. And above all else, the gameplay just isn't great. But here's the funniest part, right? And the big thing that really pisses me off. Now, again, the nerfing thing isn't the biggest deal to me. It is annoying, but it's not my biggest problem with the level. What I do want to put out there, though, and what is annoying, and what is a massive problem that stems from that, is the reason that Zanny and the creator of the level stated for nerfing the level is, in its top 1 state, the level is not fun, and they'd rather the level be fun than be top 1. And I get that. I literally said the same sentiment earlier in the video. The only problem, if you want your demon to be fun, why in the fuck are you making a remake of
Silent Circles?
That doesn't really make a lot of sense. And on top of that, the level already has a second victor, and according to them, the level still isn't fun, because almost all the deaths were due to bugs and just random absurd difficulty spikes. And the fact they say the level, quote, had the potential to be fun, almost reads to me as Curse saying that the level would have been more fun as a top 1, meaning nerfing it actually probably made it worse. So, by the sounds of it, even after nerfing the level down to top 50, it's still unfun. So, nerfing the level was quite literally pointless. As a quick little editor's note, you're going to be very happy to know that as of recording and working on this video, Curse started verifying the unnerfed version of the level, and as of recording this, already has 48 on it. It's supposed to be top 3, but it's harder than the version Dolphy was verifying. I don't think it being top 3 should be too controversial, because Slaughterhouse and Sockabin Circles both started as impossible levels, so you're not really saying it's harder than 2 random demons. You're saying a remake of an impossible level is harder than 2 other remakes of impossible levels. So, if anything, yeah, you're basically getting exactly what you wanted here. So, for the people who are really upset about this level being nerfed, we're getting the unnerfed version. So you can calm down a little bit. You don't need to raise your pitchforks on Twitter. You're good. Just breathe. So, unlike the first episode, I'm actually going to give this level 2 ratings and not 1. That may sound weird, but it's because I'm going to give the top 1 version and this version 2 separate ratings. The nerfed version, I'm rating a 1 out of 10, because it really has no reason to exist. Even looking at it as if it was not a remake, the decoration just isn't great, the gameplay is really boring, and there's just a lot of empty parts. It's just not good. It's a generic demon that exists, and that's it. Easy 1 out of 10. The top 1 version, not much better, but due to, the actual significance of it being a top 1, I'd say it's a 4 out of 10. Both versions I'm not very fond of. Yeah, that's my score.